Middlesex's Chris Rogers scored an undefeated 100, but 3 late wickets have given Gloucestershire a chance of enforcing the follow-on on the final day of their LV Caddy Championship match at Uxbridge. After much of the second day had been lost to rain, Gloucestershire batted on at the start of the third, and Ian Cobain, resuming on 121, was put down early on. This was already a career best for the Liverpudlian Cobain, who added to his tally with a 4 to third man, as Gloucestershire looked to go on from their overnight total of 402 for 7. Cobain was finally out for 127 in the day's 6th over to end an 8th wicket partnership of 97 with John Lewis. This time, John Simpson held on to a tough chance off Corey Collymore. Lewis threw the bat to go past his previous best score of 62, made at Cheltenham 12 years ago. This was the third of his sixes in a very entertaining knock. He'd moved on to 71 when his 79-ball stay was ended by Collymore, but by now, Gloucestershire had 442 runs on the board. Still, they batted on, with Ian Saxelby and David Payne carrying that total to 459 for 9 when Kane Williamson declared to finally allow Andrew Strauss to have a bat. However, the England captain went in the first over of the reply. Lewis removed him for the 6th time in Strauss's last 8 innings for Middlesex against Gloucestershire. He made only 2 on this occasion. Gloucestershire were on top with that important wicket, and they were nearly helped out for a second success when Rogers and Sam Robson were involved in a horrible mix-up. But the two dug in deep to take their side to 58 for 1 by the time that lunch arrived. Robson has batted well at the top of the order when given the opportunity by his county, and he made 38 this time in a second wicket stand of 71. But he won't have been too pleased with the mode of his dismissal as he tried to uppercut a short ball from Saxelby, but nicked it behind to leave his side on 75 for 2. Rogers was joined by fellow left-hander Scott Newman, and they kept their side on an even keel with a steady stand. By batting on in the morning, Gloucestershire had relied on bowling their hosts out cheaply to enforce a follow-on, but there seemed little hope of that as these two added another half-century partnership. Rogers, back in the side after a finger injury, recorded a solid 50 of his own with this single. He'd faced 75 balls in an innings thus far lasting 101 minutes. Newman eased to 23, but he then drove Jack Taylor to Williamson at mid-off at 125 for 3. Taylor would have been happy with that, just his second wicket in the first-class game, but when he dropped in short to Neil Dexter, he was punished with a 6. Both the Middlesex captain and Rogers made the most of some loose bowling from Gloucestershire's 2 spinners, Taylor and Williamson. Rogers pulled a full toss from the acting Gloucestershire captain for 1 maximum, and he then repeated the dose off Taylor when he let a ball slip out of his fingers. This pair had no real difficulties in adding 96 for the 4th wicket, as the match appeared to be heading nowhere, but Dexter on 41 then whipped Saxelby to Jack Taylor in the deep, another batsman who would probably like another go at his shot. Unlike the others, Rogers stuck at his task, and he was rewarded when he reached the 47th 100 of his excellent career. It was the second time he'd done that for Middlesex. This one had come off 178 balls and included 13 fours as well as those 2 sixes. With Rogers and Simpson taking the total to 253, 57 runs away from avoiding the follow-on, any hopes of Gloucestershire forcing a result looked unlikely. But then the match turned in their favour after Simpson chipped Will Gidman to Payne to go for 23. Gidman struck again in his next over when Stephen Crook inexplicably left a ball which crashed into his stumps. And Tom Smith then went in the next over after he played across a delivery from Taylor. Now Middlesex are on 260 for 7 and in a spot of bother. 3 wickets had fallen for 7 runs in 19 balls, and now the home side required another 50 runs to make Gloucestershire bat next, with only 3 wickets left. Thankfully for them, Rogers maintained his form, and he found some good support from Tim Murtagh, who survived the final half an hour in adding 23. So Middlesex will go into the final day needing another 27 runs to avoid the follow-on and effectively save this match. Gloucestershire will certainly need Rogers very early. He'll resume on 125 after spending more than 5 hours at the crease.